That was exciting to watch. Gideon definitely showed us that we can be brave because God is with us and gives us his strength and power. Let's look into the Bible to see what it says about Gideon and the Israelites before God's angel appeared to Gideon. Judges 6, 1 through 11 says, "Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Because the power of Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain cliffs, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza, and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep, nor cattle, nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count the men and their camels. They invaded the land to ravage it. Midianites so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. When the Israelites cried to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, 'This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I snatched you from the power of Egypt and from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them from before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me.' The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah, and that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in the winepress to keep it from the Midianites." Wow, that was a lot to read. The Israelites were in trouble and were not following God in the beginning of this, were they? They were hiding in caves in the mountains and didn't have very much food to eat because the Midianites were taking their food and destroying their crops and their homes. Oh, that would have been scary if I was there. Have you ever had to hide out in a cave? I bet, like me, most of you have not had to hide out in a cave because you were scared for your life or that you were out of food. But God's people did, and I'm sure they were scared. But we see finally they decide to cry out to the Lord for help. So the Lord sends his angel to Gideon. Do you remember where the angel found Gideon? Gideon was hiding in a wine press. That's a large container that was used to hold wine. Gideon was threshing wheat while he was in there. Not a place where wheat should be or would be easily threshed or separated. Gideon was scared for his life and that his food would be taken away by the Midianites. Judges 6:12 says, "When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, 'The Lord is with you, mighty warrior.' God knew that Gideon could be brave because God was with him and God would provide his strength and power. But Gideon still needed some more convincing. Do you remember what Gideon asked God to do in the video to help him know that it was God telling him what to do? That's right. Gideon, not God. Gideon asked God to make fleece wet and the ground dry. And then he asked to make the ground dry, and that's right. That's right. Gideon asked God to make the fleece wet and the ground dry, and then the ground wet and the fleece dry. Gideon finally was ready to be brave because God was with him and would give him his strength and power. Gideon gathered an army to defeat the Midianites, but God told Gideon his army was too large with 32,000 men. Do you remember how many men were left after God was done making it smaller? That is right, 300 men. I'm glad you all were listening during the video. This made Gideon scared once again, and God showed him that he would have victory. God had Gideon go down to the Midianites' camp, and there Gideon overheard a dream. After hearing this, Gideon and his army went into battle with trumpets and jars with torches inside them. Wait. What did I say that? Was that right? Let's look to Judges 15:16. When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he worshipped God. He returned to the camp of the Israelites and called out, "Get up, the Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." Dividing the 300 men into 3 companies, he placed trumpets and empty jars in the hands of them all with torches inside. Wow, the Israelites were brave because God was with them and God provided them with his strength and power to defeat the Midianites. Gideon really was a brave warrior with God on his side.